Mike.
I trust you can hear me.
Yes.
All right. After the introduction, I just wondered whether a fellow who was alive that many years ago is still alive today, but here goes. Let me just say that by way of background, right now where Clark County is in, and I'm working with, as a consultant to the county, schools, they are really operating two systems. One is called the Empowerment Schools, 17 schools, started with 4, so 4 years later now we're up to 17. But in the meantime, we've also got 300 plus other schools that are operating in a different way. Now, having said that, and I want to do this by way of introduction, is that there are different ways of organizing, and right now both are honorable. In other words, the people who are working with the 17 are making this work, and the other people are making this work. Now, I'm here to talk to you about empowerment schools, and if I sound like I'm a believer, I'm not going to apologize for empowerment. And I will make some contrast, but I want you to know that both systems have to be honored in the meantime. It's too easy to take weapons and go one way or the other. So by way of contrast, let me talk to you. If one is the empowerment schools, the others are the unempowerment schools. So let me briefly describe to you what I first encountered as an unempowerment school. And by way of background, what I brought to education was that I was a framing carpenter, a finishing carpenter, a hog farmer, a land developer, 80 acres and high rises and other kinds of things. And then in education, I was a teacher, a principal, and wound up being superintendent of a district that's today 210 schools. I was 37 years old, didn't know anything about administration, had never gone to superintendent school, and now I was in charge. And when I say I was in charge, all of a sudden I found out if I had ever run any of my businesses the way we were running the district, yeah, you know, right, okay. And we had no Chapter 11 either. Let me explain how it works. When I was a principal, people gave us things and we were supposed to make it work. If it didn't work, we'd fill out another requisition. And then it either came to the school, it was free if you got it, or you didn't get it. Now, one of the things that happens is we found out that if they didn't give it to us, we would then write a blister of a letter, maybe get the parent-teacher association to petition, and our chances of getting something were better if we could show the school wouldn't work. Well, the minute that you find out if you can prove the place won't work, you can get more, guess what? You go into business. And the people there were trying to make it work, and we were trying to show them it wouldn't work. Unless we got more. Now, eventually, the trouble with getting more is that you run short of free goods. Nobody's yet devised an organization that can supply a plentiful supply of free goods. Now, let me talk about when you go to the central, and you now see a different perspective. In the central, the people who've got these budgets, and they're not sitting in Walt's office, they're sitting in these various compartments. The people will give the school so much to begin with, and then you're going to keep more because there might be problems during the year. And then, near the end of the year, you still got some money left, and now you've got to take a chance. You know, is there going to be more problems, or you can finish the line. Spend it or lose it. Right. And so everybody's got that bulge at the end of the year. So having said that, that's the one system. Now let me talk to you about when I started to work within the central admin. I found out that we were trying to get people to focus on education, on youngsters and learning and serving the community. But most of the time they were spending their time trying to get more, like the best principals want to get the most teachers, the best supplies and everything else, and no kids. As few kids as possible. If you said no kids, they find you out. So what they wanted to do was get people to focus on what it really was. And so what we did, and I'll get this to you in some reform now, dealing with empowerment. How we got there and over a period of time is a different story. But ours was very simple, starting at the board and superintendent level. How much money do you have? And secondly, what results do you want people to achieve? Which are the results that are to be achieved at the district level that you don't give to the schools, such as accounting for the district, certain other things in personnel and so on. And then what are the results that you want the schools to achieve? And then the next thing we did that was, we then assigned the available dollars to the results. And you say, well, that makes sense. Well, I want you to know the way that school districts across the country operate even today is that most of the money is eventually spent in the schools, but the schools have control over less than 5% of it. 95% of it is planned elsewhere, and now the results are at the other end. That's a mismatch. So what we do then is we assign the money, and now I'll make reference to where we're at in Clark County after 4 years, because this is not easy to implement. I can tell you that changing, trying to come up with a new system is a contact sport. Okay? Because an existing bureaucracy may not work very well, but I'll tell you, if it's ever threatened, it really digs in. Then you find out the power of resistance. Having said that, this year in Clark County, on March 1, for the 17 schools for the first year, we put out $75 million, the district did, and said to the schools, you plan it. Don't come back for more money because you've now got your share. And you tell us how many teachers, how many, and everything you need, and you'll carry forward your fiscal position at the school level from year to year. This is what we want you to achieve. This is how it will be measured. This is what you get to do your job. Now think about this, $75 million in one fell swoop. You no longer need to fill out all kinds of requisitions that go through different offices of giving approvals. I worked in a district in California when the principal signed the requisition. You needed 6 more co-signers before it was implemented. Here, you cut through the red tape. Sorry, I've got to be careful about using street language. And what happens is, you know, the same people that used to fight the system, all of a sudden when you engage them meaningfully, they don't look to somebody else for solutions, they begin to look at themselves, their own community. I call it powerful schools. People owning the work energizes the results. And unless we give ownership, and if you think about it as parents, and I'm a parent of 2 of them, and a grandparent of 4 of them, all I wanted for my kids was that somebody cared about them, identified with them, and tried to do the very best for them. And unless you have a staff that feels the same way, that the results of empowerment are absolutely unbelievable. Of how the same people who behaved one way, when you change the rules, all of a sudden behave the other way, they take on ownership. And I will conclude with, I just want to give you 1 or 2 things that happened, absolutely unbelievable. Firstly, the people didn't believe this would happen, but when the year we went district-wide, at the end of the year, and in every district you get opposition, but I've worked in for the last 15 years, I don't think there's a major system in the U.S. that I've not been party to as they've tried to implement this. There's always resistance in one place or another. Sometimes it's finance, sometimes it's curriculum, in other places it's very special ed, who's a beautiful one elsewhere. I can show you all the scars from special ed. But having said that, with us, after the first year, the finance department was very much opposed to this because they said to me, Strembitsky, you want to give the money to the robbers. And I said to them, you got it half right. What I want to do is make the robbers into bank managers. You know, show me somebody who's learned to manage money who doesn't have it. Think about that. Anyway, after the first year, the finance people who were opposed to this came to see me and said, there's going to be a scandal in town. I said, what's a scandal? Now, this is many years ago, and they said, what's the public going to think when they find out there's too much money for education?